immediately goes into backing a little spider with a loose zipper called Newt Gingrich and Contract for America. 25 key races, and at the week before the race, there were all these ads calling Democrats every name under the sun. Under the name was something mysterious called the Committee for Our Children's Future, and it was attacking all the Democrats who voted for food stamps versus the Republicans against them. Now, who were these people concerned about their children's future? Well, the money, as it turns out, and so 25 seats suddenly changed hands, and it was an absolute shock when Newt Gingrich and the Republicans took control of Congress with this money. Where did the money come from? Went back to a cutout group called Triad. Hunting for Triad is in the book. We hunted for Triad. Behind Triad was Koch Industries. Now, at the time, that's another crime, because it was illegal at the time for corporations to give money to political campaigns and hide it. They did it. But by stealing the Congress, they stole the badge. They stole the enforcement. But there was one honest senator named Fred Thompson who was ready to bust the Kochs for what he said was pure, illegal, felonious habit. Habits is the right word. You know Fred Thompson, he plays a prosecutor on Law and Order. He's always played these cops and prosecutors. Well, he got carried away and he thought that he really was a prosecutor, and he was head of the Government Operations Committee. He was going to bust the Kochs. But then something happened. $1 million went into the pockets of another politician, Bill Clinton. Sorry, close your ears if you're true blue. Close your ears if you're true blue. This is in the story too, under Manchurian Candidates. And the problem with the $1 million was that it came from Chinese interests, the Riyadi family. By the way, the Riyadis met 95 times with Clinton when he was in office. That means he met with the Chinese billionaires more often than with Chelsea. You couldn't take money from China. A deal was in the works. I checked with a senator who was involved in it and staffers, and they said, yep. Trent Lott, head of the Republicans, went to Thompson and said, not your day, champ. We're not hauling in the Kochs and demanding their prosecution, and we're not hauling in the Riyadis. We don't prosecute Riyadis. They don't prosecute Kochs. In other words, it was a trade of billionaires. Both parties cut the deal to keep their billionaires, to restore their billionaires' future. That's how it works. That's how it works. And then what they did was, the next step was to decriminalize the operation. So Citizens United, does anyone know who's been uniting? Who are these Citizens Uniting? It's a very small group. Foster Freeze was putting in money. Thompson, by the way, said he should go to prison too. They removed all of his committee powers, closed his committee, shut it down, and therefore that's why he resigned from the Senate, because they removed all his powers. They said the only thing he could keep in his committee is he could shtup his blonde legal counsel. Now, Mrs. Thompson. Now, so he left the Senate. Now, you have to decriminalize the behavior. Citizens United. Now, Citizens United was represented by the most expensive lawyer in the United States of America, Ted Olson. No one asked, where did Ted Olson come from? How could he work for this little tiny group which has very little budget? Well, because he took leave of absence from his day job as counsel for Koch Industries. Now, did the Democratic leadership complain? No, because Bob Strauss, who'd been chairman of the Democratic Party, had no time, couldn't get any time away from his job as the other counsel for Koch Industries. That's why they call it a party. It's a two-party system. They have two parties at the same time. And give us the... Now, there's a lot more stories. A lot more. I've only gone through two ways that they steal. Two ways to steal an election out of 9. And as I said, it says Greg Palast investigates the Koch gang, Karl Rove, and their Buck Buddies. I haven't even gotten to the Buck Buddies. the #1 billionaire in the Restore Our Future operation, is the guy who made Turd Blossom and the Kochs kiss and make up. They didn't really like each other, and put Themis and Data Trust together. The Vulture. Paul the Vulture Singer, who Amy Goodman has just run several broadcasts on him. Over the past 5 years, I've hunted this guy from up the Congo River to Bosnia to London to South America. But that's another story yet in the book. The important thing is this. We don't have a lot of bullets in our guns. What we have is votes. They've got the guns, they've got the money, they've got Themis, they've got Data Trust. $500 million in just those two organizations. So what do we have? We have the information. We've won so many times. The suffragette movement, the abolitionist movement, the civil rights movement, called the Civil War, and then another civil rights movement 100 years later. We have to keep doing it. The United States of America was a movement to create suffrage, to give us the vote. It was how the United States of America was created as a protest against the World Trade Organization, then called the British Empire. The struggle for democracy never ends. Never ends. And it's amazing what we can accomplish. You know, Martin Luther King, and I'm sorry if you find this too dramatic, but Martin Luther King III said, I have to tell you this, that his dad took a bullet so people could vote. I'm telling you that all you have to do is take a book or take a ballot condom for free off the website, ballotbandits.org. Yeah, you can't, voting today is not just like going to Wendy's and ordering super fries through the drive-thru. You work at it. You don't go postal, don't mail in your vote unless you have to, unless you want a Themis drone through your ballot. Register. Oh, I'm registered. 42% of the votes of the voters who are registered, attempted to register in California, don't know that their ballot, that their registrations were rejected in California under the Republican Secretary of State, McPherson. Why? Because they had unusual names, suspect names. I asked Bobby Kennedy, and I asked Deborah Bowen, his successor, what do you mean by unusual names? 500,000 people barred from the vote rolls who didn't know it, who get a surprise on election day. Who are these unusual names? Like, what's an unusual name? And she said, well, like Mohammed. She said, hyphenated names, you know, Garcia Marquez. Filipino names, Asian names. They know. They know. It's not just down deep in Dixie. It's California, it's Iowa. The worst steals will happen in New Mexico. Colorado, 1/5, 19.4% of the voter rolls of Colorado have been purged by a Republican Secretary of State. And when I told the governor, who's a Democrat, he didn't even know it. That's their good. That was done by a woman I call the Purgeon General. She makes Catherine Harris look like Thomas Jefferson. This is how it's happening in America. But we can change it. The new apartheid voting system can come to an end. Okay? I'm going to tell you this. By the way, I'm offering something. I got to induce you to get to work on this. I'm going to have some of the ballot ban. I said ways to beat the ballot bandits. But if you get Billionaires and Ballot Bandits today, you know, cheap paperback from our foundation, make it cheap. Or if you get Amy Goodman's book, because that's important too. That tells you how you make the movement happen. Or if you get Ralph Nader's book, these are important weapons for us. If you get any of those three books, and then you go to ballotbandits.org, we will give you our foundation will give you our free film, Billionaires and Ballot Bandits, the film. Okay? It will be a free download for anyone at Greenfest who gets Billionaires and Ballot Bandits by myself with Bobby Kennedy and Ted Rall, or Ralph Nader, or Amy Goodman. These are important weapons, and we made it small enough to put in your holster because in Florida, you can't necessarily take in your ballot condom, but you can take a gun in, so we put it so you can put it in your holster. Yeah. I'll leave you with this. We have work to do. You got to get the book, you got to spread it around. Now, what you have to do too. I was asked, why do this? I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks in Los Angeles, area in Sun Valley, Pacoima. Mostly Chicano neighborhood. Mostly Chicano neighborhood. We were losers. We were marked for losing. We were supposed to go off to Vietnam, not some drunk in Texas. We had to go off to Vietnam. Those of us who came back were, could go work at the Chevy plant. Now, they took away the Chevy plant. They've even rolled up the tracks and took it to Mexico. They took away our lives. They took away our work. But I'll be damned if I'm going to let them take away our vote. Let's get to work. Thank you. I'll answer every one of your questions, however long it takes. I'll sign the books right over here at the bookstore. Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing my words back to America. Thank you, Democracy Now! For letting me through the electronic Berlin Wall. Greenfest for inviting me home and bringing me into the belly button of the beast here. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, so I have 3 invitations for you. You've just heard Greg Palast. He's going to be at the bookstore right behind here. Get the book. He made that fantastic offer. If you get his book, Amy Goodman's book, or Ralph Nader's book, you can come onto his website and get a free copy of the movie. So please take him up on that offer right behind me here. My second invitation is that